Okay guys, how are we doing? Today we are going to make a delicious meatloaf that does not have breadcrumbs. It's not breaded meatloaf. So right now I am just kind of taking apart my hamburger meat. You want to make sure that your rings are off your fingers, because your fingers are going to be into this meat all the time, and it gets pretty messy. And if you got some nice expensive rings or something like that on your fingers, you're going to have this all cruded up inside of your diamonds and everything. So anyways, we are needing garlic powder, onion powder, black pepper, parsley, this is basil, diced one onion, sorry. Probably one large egg is all you'll need. I have two, only because we have, these are our silky chickens eggs, and they're very small eggs, like very, very small. So that's why I use two. The green onion, chopped up green onion, some ketchup, about 2 pounds of hamburger meat, and let's get started. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put in my eggs. Next, I'm going to add some chopped up green onion. By the way, guys, these scissors right here, I don't know how well you can see that. Got these off of Temu. They're really great for chopping up onion and things like that. So as you can see, it kind of just pretty neat. They work really well too, so they're worth checking out. And you don't have to put a lot of green onion in here. It's just a little flavor booster is all it is, because you're putting up chopped up onion in here as well. So that's about all I'm gonna put in here. Alright, as you know from my other videos, I'm really bad. I do not, and I apologize, but I kind of feel like spices are a preference of each individual on how much they use and what they use. So I'm just going to guesstimate. We got a little bit of garlic powder, and I'm only going to maybe put in a 1/4 teaspoon. A little bit of onion powder, again maybe about a 1/4 teaspoon. Some black pepper. Probably going to put in probably a 1/2 tablespoon of your black pepper. Actually, not a half, excuse me, a 1/2 teaspoon. Or a teaspoon, I'm sorry. A teaspoon of black pepper. Then you got parsley. That I'm a little bit more generous. It's probably 1 teaspoon on it as well. It's a preference. some basil, which is also about a teaspoon of basil. Probably about a teaspoon. About a half a cup of ketchup. Dice up my jalapenos. As you can see, I don't have, these are sliced jalapenos straight out of a jar. You can use fresh ones if you want, but you do not want to go overload on this because this is just for flavor. Okay, so you just cut it up into tiny little chunks here. You do too much of this and it's going to take over your meatloaf. For those of you that's never had jalapenos in your hamburger or in your meatloaf, you're in for a big surprise because it's good. It's real good. Alright, so place our onions in there. Doesn't matter if the juice or whatever gets in there from the jalapenos. It makes no difference. It's just moisture. Moisture's good. I'm going to knead everything into the hamburger meat. Get it all mixed in really well. I said do not wear your rings when you're doing this. You want to take them off because all this stuff is going to get up inside all those little crevices where you have your diamonds. So take everything off before you start this process. I always take them off at the beginning, that way I know I haven't forgotten to do it. Before I even start anything, I always do that. That's how to have it. You don't want too big a chunks of, I mean, they're probably maybe, I guess, a ½ inch size, some of them. Most of them are smaller than that as far as your onion goes. You want to mix this in real well. We do not put any breadcrumbs in this. And you want to preheat your speaking of, preheat your oven to 375. We've got a pretty bad storm going on here right now. I'm telling you guys, You really need to want to try this one. You don't want to miss out on this. Let's put it this way. When my husband and I first got together, and the way he explained it to me is because I guess meatloaf was a very, very cheap meal way back in the day. So back when we were young, we were kids, and they had it so often at their house, he grew to really hate meatloaf. And it took me a long time to even get him to try my meatloaf. Once he tried my meatloaf, he liked meatloaf again. So it's definitely worth giving it a shot. It's good, guys. Real good. Alright guys, next step, you're going to take your meat and we're going to put it in our pot, in our pan, excuse me. I just use one of the larger bread pans, that's what I use, but you do you. You don't have to put anything at all as far as like any grease, nothing like that. Believe me, it's going to get well greased. Onto your pan, you're just going to put the meat straight down in there. I'm going to pack it down real good. And I always take my fingers and I kind of push down around the edges, because that gives it a place to flow for all the grease to go. Just helps it flow downward. That's how I feel. And after that, we're going to cover with some aluminum foil. Now that didn't take me probably 10 minutes to put this together. If that. Probably would have been faster if I wasn't filming this right now. But anyways, the preparation to have it ready to go in the oven, probably 10 minutes max. Now, from this point, we're going to throw it in our oven. Does anybody else with pets have this issue? Anytime we come in here to cook, yeah, they want to hang out right by your legs, right where you need to get to. Isn't that right, Miss Chopper? Yeah, pretty girl. Okay, guys, we're now placing in the oven. You want about the middle rack. I'm setting the timer. Set the timer for 45 minutes. But in between that 45 minutes, you do want to at least check it probably once. And the reason being is this puts off a lot of grease. Okay? A lot of grease coming from that hamburger, and you don't want it to get to the point that it overflows, because that could start a fire in your oven. So you do want to at least check it some point, probably around maybe the 25-minute mark, just to make sure it's not overflowing with grease. Most of the time, I don't even have to empty it until the 45-minute mark, and then I empty the grease out and drain the grease out. Then I place it back in the oven, okay? We'll get to that part in a moment. Alright, I just pulled this out of the oven. It's been 45 minutes, and you can see just how much grease that this will accumulate. Okay, so it's really important that's why I was saying it's real important to check to make sure that your grease is not going to get to the point that it's going to overflow and get to the bottom of your oven. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to drain the meatloaf and get most of the oil out of there, and then then I'll be right back with it. Alright, we're at the next step. You need to cover your meatloaf back up, and then we're going to place it back in the same spot in the oven, about the middle rack. And then you're going to set your timer for another 45 minutes. Okay guys, the meatloaf has done the 45 minutes. I've taken it out of the oven. Our next step is we're going to put a small amount of ketchup on the top. And that's a preference thing as well, how much you want to use. Lightly spread it around. And then after we do this and get this done, then we're going to place it back in the oven. Oh, by the way, when I pulled it out of the oven, I drained all the grease back out of it again. Okay. We're going to place it back in the oven after we're done spreading the ketchup on the top. And we're going to cook it uncovered for about 10 to 15 minutes. And after that, I'll be back with you and we'll be ready to eat. I'll slice her up and show you what we got. Alright, it's time to reveal. Pull it out. I'll bring you up close. As close as I can get you. Does that not look yummy or what? Mm-hmm. Yipper, yipper, yipper. Looks like some good stuff right there. We're going to slice into it and see what we get. That is some good stuff right there. I'm telling you, you need to try it. The secret ingredient is the jalapeno peppers. The jalapeno peppers just totally does a change of taste and change of flavor on the meatloaf. So you guys really need to give this a shot. If you don't mind, like, subscribe, and when you subscribe, please mention in the comments below I subscribed, and I'll respond back to you when you do. Anyways, give this a good like, guys. Make sure to give it a try because it's really, really tasty. I'll talk to you later, guys, in the next one.